What's going on, fellas? Most men have already lost. Fellas, let's not overcomplicate things on how to win, how to become successful, how to become him. Most men have already lost before they even began. Not because they're incapable, not because they lack talent, but because somewhere deep down inside, they've convinced themselves that their circumstances determines their future. They say, oh, I didn't grow up rich, or oh, I don't have that, or oh, I don't have this, or oh, I'm waiting on this. And because of that, they subconsciously give themselves permission to stay average. But one of the richest men that ever lived, J.D. Rockefeller, completely disagrees with this mindset. I'm reading a book right now by J.D. Rockefeller. It's called 38 Letters to My Son. And in one of his letters to his son, he quotes, "Our destiny is determined by our actions." That quote alone destroys majority of the excuses that modern men make today. J.D. Rockefeller understood that your starting point matters, but it doesn't determine your destination. It's the things that we talk about every day, fellas. It's your habits, it's your discipline, it's your standards, it's your consistency. Those are the things that determine where you're gonna go and where you're gonna end up. And today I wanna break down one of the most important things that I've read so far in J.D. Rockefeller's book, because his mindset, especially during this chapter, can completely change your life. First things first, fellas, we're gonna start off hot by saying life isn't fair. Life is unequal. Some people are born into wealthy families. Some people are born into great opportunities, elite school systems, great network, financial security, while others are born into poverty, chaos, dysfunction, trauma, and just have to grow up in survival mode. That's reality, and J.D. Rockefeller acknowledges this. In this specific chapter, the first letter he wrote to his son, he compared life to a mountain. Some people are born near the top, while others are born at the very bottom. But the key part is, just because you're born at the bottom doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay there, because history repeatedly shows us something. Some rich people become failures, and some poor people become legends. Look at how many successful people come from the struggle. Just off the top of my head, I could think about Steve Harvey, Oprah Winfrey, LeBron James. Many of those people face rejection, hardship, instability, and failure throughout their whole life. But instead of using failure as an excuse, they used it as fuel. And that's the difference. Weak men use pain as an excuse, but strong men use it as motivation. Fellas, I've made videos in the past where I discuss different sources of motivation. I don't think as a human we should only use one source of motivation. I don't think everyone gets the same motivation from thinking about their future. I don't think we all get the same motivation of thinking about our dream car. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I believe in dark motivation, which is why I refer to my list of hate. What your list of hate is, it's a list of things that brings out an emotion in you that basically fuels that fire. Let me give you guys some examples. Has anybody backstabbed you? Has anybody traded on you? Has anybody left you? Has anybody cheated you? Has your teacher ever told you wasn't gonna be shit? Did your coach cut you from the basketball team? Did your boss fire you? Did your parents not believe in you? All of these things are the type of events that you'll put in your list of hate, because those are the events that at that moment when they happen, they made you feel a certain emotion. And a lot of people don't like when I say it, but the dark motivation is my favorite motivation, especially when you start to get comfortable, because it reminds you where you don't want to go back to. It reminds you what you don't want to feel like again. You got to remember the times nobody believed in you. You got to remember the times people doubted you. You got to remember the times people tried to shit on you. You got to remember the times that people try to humble you. You got to remember the times that people felt like they could find better than you. After this video, if you get a chance, go look at my 2 videos about dark motivation. I speak about a personal story of mine when I was younger, and me and my mom, we were living with one of her friends in Los Angeles, and she kicked us out of her 2-bedroom apartment, left me and my mom in a city where we knew nobody else. As a kid, I remembered that feeling that I had at that moment. I remember the look on my mom's face. I remember the concern that I had, and I promise I will never feel that again. That's just one out of the dozen times that in my life where I felt like this moment can't happen to me no more. This moment will never happen to me again. That's probably one of the first instances in my life where I felt like that. But fellas, that pain that I felt at that moment, it could have made me soft, right? I could have came up with excuses. My mom could have came up with excuses. It could have made her soft. But ironically, it actually did the opposite. My mom didn't blink an eye. She didn't shed a tear. She didn't complain. She made a way, she made it happen, and she did it effortlessly. I never seen her break a sweat. And that right there instilled a lot in me. Because if I'm looking at my mother, who at the time had a lot to lose, We moved out there for her new job, but at this time she's taking care of a kid. We currently don't have a house, and she has to make something happen right now. So if you want to talk about pressure, if you want to talk about real pressure, fellas, I know I talk directly to you about these type of instances. This applies to women as well. My mom is probably one of the strongest people that I know. Came from nothing, small town, Fort Wayne, Indiana, to being very successful, owning her own businesses, buy her own house at a very young age, taking care of a child at a very young age, being the first in her family to get a college degree. She got multiple degrees. So nowadays, when I hear people say, I grew up like this, or I never had this, or I'm just this, or, you know, like in a sense of the expectation of you should be low just because of a certain circumstance, I don't respect that. I've never seen my mother make an excuse. I don't like excuses, and nobody around me needs to be making excuses. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Because if you're going to call yourself a him-tear man, there's no excuse under the world. If there's something that needs to be done, we get it done by any circumstances, no matter what our feelings are. Another thing I want to talk about is how comfort is making a lot of men weak. One of the hardest truths that J.D. Rockefeller spoke about in his book was comfort. He said one of the quickest ways to destroy somebody is to give them too much money. Now, most people hear that and would be like, that makes no sense. How would too much money destroy us? If anything, it'll make us better, right? But if you really study life, what J.D. Rockefeller is stating makes perfect sense, because struggling develops qualities that comfort never will. Now fellas, let me clarify this, because I don't want you to get it misconstrued. He's not saying you need to struggle every day of your life. What he's saying is, going through struggle, you develop certain things as far as discipline, resilience, creativity. Struggle forces you to be creative. Struggle brings urgency. Struggle brings mental toughness. While comfort develops laziness, entitlement, dependency, and nothing but distraction. And honestly, this is probably one of the biggest issues in modern day society right now. Most men are too comfortable. They have endless entertainment, Netflix, Hulu, they got social media, Instagram, TikTok, fast food, McDonald's right up the street. Everywhere you go, you got a McDonald's right on the corner. They have nothing but distractions and instant dopamine. And because of this, they never develop the ability to suffer. But fellas, success requires suffering, but not just any suffering, right? We don't want to go through, you never want to go through meaningless suffering. Every suffering, you need to gain something. The gym requires suffering. Business requires suffering. Leadership requires suffering. Discipline requires suffering. Everything valuable requires suffering. That's why so many men be stuck, because they want success without that discomfort. They want the physique without training. They want the money without the sacrifice. They want the confidence without the embarrassment. They want the discipline without moving distractions. But that's not how life works, fellas. The next thing I want to touch on is how struggle can actually be your advantage. What J.D. Rockefeller covered in the book is poor people often develop advantages that rich people would never build. Why? Because when you struggle, you're forced to adapt. You become resourceful. You learn faster. You appreciate opportunities more. You become hungrier. Some of the most dangerous men in the world are men with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Like, your back is against the wall and you have no choice but to go forward. So that hunger starts to create obsession. It creates a focus. It creates a drive. Meanwhile, you have many privileged people who never develop survival skills because life has never brought that out of them. And we see this constantly. There's some people out there that was born with every advantage imaginable, yet they accomplished nothing. But then also there's some people who came from nothing who've built empires, because eventually your grind, your hustle, your discipline, your consistency, your mindset, that's gonna beat circumstances. That's why I tell people I would never obsess over things that I didn't have, because that energy that's spent complaining could be the energy that you use to spend building. You can't control your childhood. You can't control your parents. You can't control the past. You can't control your upbringing, but you can control your habits right now. You can control your effort into your discipline right now. You can control your environment right now. Your standards, your effort, all that you can control right now. And those are the decisions that you can make that will end up compounding that'll get you to that top of that mountain. The modern man is addicted to pleasure today. And Rockefeller explained that pleasure is the number one thing that can destroy a man's ambition. And the scary part about that is modern day society is designed to keep men as comfortable as possible. Everything today is instant entertainment, instant food, instant validation, instant pleasure. And since men overstimulate themselves, when they get hungry, they want to go to junk food. When they get bored, they want to crack their phone open and scroll through Instagram. Men constantly overstimulating themselves, and while they're doing that, their ambition is slowly dying, because ambition requires energy. But when you're using that energy to scroll, party, drink, chase women, you have no energy left to build your future with. I realized this shit in my life too, fellas. There was a point in my life where I was chasing temporary pleasures, going out every weekend from 10 to 5 a.m., partying, wasting time, living for the weekend, drinking heavily. I was slowly feeling myself drifting away from the man that I was supposed to be. Because, fellas, every time you choose that pleasure over your purpose, your subconscious mind noticed that shit. And every compromise that I was making was weakening my identity. That's why now discipline is so important to me, because I've been there. That's when I stopped looking at discipline as punishment and started looking at it as protection. It was protecting me from my old self. I started proving to myself I can control my impulses. I can delay my gratification. I can stay focused. I can become dangerous. I can focus during this deep work. I can drop a video. I can make X amount of dollars online. And fellas, the biggest lesson from this entire chapter is your destiny is built through repeated actions. Period. Not motivation, not luck, not feelings, but actions. I damn near tell y'all this every video. Them small actions that are repeated on a daily basis, that's what becomes your identity. The man who trains consistently every day becomes strong. But the man who wants to smoke weed every day and sit on his ass becomes a bum. Most men want transformation without changing their daily behaviors. But your life is literally a reflection of your repeated habits that you do on a daily basis. So if you want to procrastinate, avoid discomfort, waste time, quit, then go ahead. You're going to be identified as a weak man. But if you want to train, learn, sacrifice, grind, and stay disciplined on a daily basis, then eventually you're going to become a powerful man. And the thing is, fellas, both of those outcomes compound. That's why your habits matter so much, because 6 months of discipline can completely change your life, but also 6 months of bullshit can set you back 10 years. So at the end of the day, fellas, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Your circumstances may influence your life, but they do not define it. In HTU, I got guys who have had a nice upbringing, but they still have hunger. And I also have guys who had a rough upbringing and they still have hunger. But what I tell both sides is what defines your life is your choices, your habits, your standards, your discipline. Your actions today are either building your future or destroying it. And that's why struggle is such a gift, because struggle forces you to evolve. It forces you to become capable, to become disciplined, resilient, because comfort rarely creates greatness, but pressure creates diamonds. So stop asking yourself, why did my life start this way, or how did I end up in this circumstance? And start asking yourself, who do I need to become to change my circumstance? Because fellas, I promise you, whatever you're going through or whatever you went through, there's somebody out there that's going through 10 times much harder shit than you are, and they've still made it. Your future isn't waiting on your luck. It's waiting on your actions. So fellas, if you want me to help you build unshakable discipline and eliminate the distractions that are holding you back on a daily basis, build your personal step-by-step guide that'll help you level up physically, mentally, and financially, and teach you how to create structured routines, habits, and standards that'll actually transform your life, then click the link in the description below. Book a call and we'll see if you're a good fit. But understand, fellas, this is not for everybody. This shit requires sacrifice, accountability, and it's going to require some discomfort. It's going to require you to become somebody that most people are scared to become. Yeah, you guys might know what discipline is. You guys might know what structure is. But what we focus on in HTU is not only brotherhood, but we focus on execution, accountability. Fellas, if you've been here since day one, you've seen the hard work, you've seen the consistency, you've seen the discipline. So if you're ready to level up, let's get to work. Because when you commit to this journey, fellas, understand it's not just you anymore, it's us. I don't have to tell you guys that we're about to be halfway through the year. You know this shit already. Stop wasting your fucking potential. It's time to perform.